Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Your Future with Luxland. I am Zah, CEO of Luxland Investments. We are joined today by Marc Vitor, our Business Development Manager. How are you, Marc?
Great, how are you?
Very well. What are we talking about today?
So today, guys, we'll be talking about when the right time is to purchase a property, which is, it's quite a significant topic, because everyone seems to think that they have the right answer, that have already got property or that don't have property. But I guess at the end of the day, it does come down to you. But it's all based on personal opinions. And to tell you the truth, my one is get in now. And I know you would be the same, Zah.
Why do you say get in now?
Why do I say? I mean, there's
because everyone's saying wait.
That's right, they are. I mean, everyone will say wait and wait and wait.
The world's going to end.
The world's going to end. It's becoming more and more... it's becoming a cooler market as opposed to a heated market, which it has been over the last, I don't know how many years now, 3 or 4 years, especially here in Sydney.
The boom's been about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so it's for me it would be get in now, because something we always say, and I've probably said it in previous podcasts, but time in the market rather than timing the market. Very important to keep that in mind. It's markets are cyclical, I think is the word, and it's just, what goes down must come up, and vice versa. So what we see now is, it's been, quite a big boom, but Sydney's never seen this before. Will we ever see it again? Maybe not, but maybe. Who's to say we won't? So
we'll definitely see a boom again. Whether we will see it as strongly as we have, of late, maybe not. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball in front of us. But answering the question of, do we get into the property market now, or do you get into the property market now, is obviously we're going to say yes, because we know how to make money in property, in any market. Yeah. And we truly believe that you can make money in any market. However, what happens is that a lot of the amateurs who aren't in the game or aren't in the market, and they've never really transacted on property before, what happens is that they believe in the media hype, the media bullshit, you know what I mean? The newspapers, and they just want to sell either boom or bust stories, right?
Correct, yeah.
Where if you buy the right, correct asset, you don't believe the hype, you buy under market value in high growth suburbs where you can manufacture, equity by renovations, by adding value, maybe a granny flat, then you're always going to see a return. However, what people don't realise is that when the market corrects, or a lot of people think it's going to crash, it's always going to come back up again.
Of course.
So if it comes down, say, by 5 or 10%, then that's okay, because you just weather that storm and, see the end of it, and, it'll always go back up, because property is scarce in Australia. Everybody wants to live here. The supply can't, meet the demand. So you're always going to have this desire for property in Australia. But which type of property? That is the question.
Yeah.
Because there is property out there that you will buy today and you will hurt in 2, 3, 4 years' time when there is a correction. So it's very important to know the price ranges you're working in, the locations that you're buying in, what infrastructure developments are happening in those areas, and also what returns you're going to get out of those areas. Are there jobs in that area? Is the population increasing in that area? And that's why we love the Central Coast and Newcastle markets, because number one, the Central Coast gets a lot of overflow from Sydney, where we don't feel that Sydney is really going to die off. It may slow down, which there are signs of now, but it's if you invest right, any time is a good time to invest.
Yeah, there's one guy I was just speaking to you about him before, just with Bitcoin for an example, and what I love about him is that when he latches onto something, he goes absolutely bananas on it and researches every day, every night, and swears by it. Do you know what I mean? Whether it is a failure or not, he'll still push it till its dying days. And I feel that's something as well that we need to do, because we're taking so much advice from all these other people. Now, he was... there was a lot of people, in recent times when there was a big debate about Bitcoin in the media in the last week, hammering him about it, going, oh, what do you think now? What do you think now? And as soon as there was another recorrection where the Bitcoin started to continue going up, because he had a bit of money put into it, he was basically, giving it back to everyone else, just saying, like, I still stick to my guns. Like, I know what's right because I've studied it, I've researched, and that's...
He's confident.
Very confident, and that's something that we need to do, because the only person that we can ask that question to, are ourselves. When's the right time to get in the market? If you want to get in, you can get in today, or you can get in 10 years' time. It's up to you. But you need to, as long as you understand the market before you take other people's advice. It's always great to take advice, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't listen to anyone at all. But, chances are, when it comes to investing in anything, I feel, there's always going to be more people. There's probably going to be 51% of the time negativity than there will be positivity. And
well, we're a negative nation.
We are, massively. So it's probably a lot more than 51%, to tell you the truth. Even people with I can't speak from experience, but potentially people with relatives, either parents or uncles, aunties, whatever it may be, that have been in the game for a while. They're probably the baby boomer market and stuff like that. They're probably, drilling into their heads, just wait, we'll find something, and we'll get it in Sydney, we'll do this. There's all these different things to just say, don't buy anywhere that I don't know, and it's not as in yourself, but as in that person that's giving you the advice. And that's something that we don't stay biased on Central Coast and Newcastle. If clients come in and say, I've been interested in something in Wollongong or Queensland, like we'll discuss it with them, but we'll also give them a very loud disclaimer that we don't know that market as well as what we do know our markets. And I find that's all goes back to the whole research thing. If you do your research and you know what you're talking about, what's stopping you from buying now?
Well, the people that are saying not to get into the market are usually the people who aren't educated or experienced. So they're the people, they're the doomsayers, So a lot of people who are negative about it, I find that I always ask them, I go, well, are you in the market? Most of the time the answer is no.
Yep.
And then I ask them, okay, well, what do you know about the market? Have you done much research? And they go, oh, well, I've just heard about it on the news, or my mate told me about it, or my uncle told me about it at a barbecue, And it's just not, official information coming from an official source.
Yep.
Where, people who are very, very well educated on property, who we surround ourselves by, they always say, in any market you can make money, and you should always get into the market when you can get into the market. Put it this way, property investing is a long-term strategy. You talk to anyone that bought property 30, 40 years ago, ask them if they regretted it. What's their answer going to be?
Exactly.
They're never going to say that they regretted it.
Ever.
You know what I mean? Because even if they bought a bad property, they're probably going to be doing all right after 30 or 40 years, right? So what we've got to understand that it's a long-term strategy. Now, if you're wanting to get into the market now and then flip the property in, say, 6 months or 12 months, then maybe that's a different strategy, right? You've got to look at different types of property to do that too, and most of the time that's more so a developer's strategy. So it's, if the question's a broad question about just getting into the market, then yes, right now is the time to get into the market, because our property market here in Australia, or in Sydney, for example, is quite immature. So it hasn't really developed. We're at a very, very young stage. So prices are only going to go up. You can see, from the amount of development and infrastructure works that are happening on the streets, like it looks like the city's falling apart, but it's all for the better. We're getting tram lines put in, new schools are opening up, universities are getting relocated to better areas, hospitals are getting revamped. Like, we have so much happening in this country, and it's exciting. I'm really excited because I truly believe that this country will still develop when my time's up here, right? And when I'm old and ready to hand all of my wealth over to my kids and my grandkids, I truly believe that we will still be developing because we're so young.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to live here. So, if you're buying the right areas and you're buying the right types of property, then you're always going to do well. But if you buy stupidly with, your eyes closed and, you're buying brand new properties which are, in less scarce areas and all of that sort of stuff, or off the plan high density apartments, then you're going to be you're putting yourself at risk of going into negative equity if there is a correction. So, but in saying that, long term holds that correction, it's always going to come back up again.
Yep, definitely. And
the data shows that.
It does. Yeah, and it's funny when people take advice from someone that, like investment advice, I should say, from someone that owns a house, but only that sole house. They don't
and that's usually a home.
Exactly.
Right? So a home is a liability. Why would you take advice from someone who has a liability but not an investment? Property investing is a business.
Correct.
Right? You're wanting to generate income for a profit, whether it be through rentals or through capital appreciation. So it's like, why would you buy a shit business?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like if you go downstairs and there's a cafe for sale and it's losing money, and you can't see it making any money in the next, say, 5 or 6 years, then why would you buy it?
Yeah.
Because it's got pretty chairs. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But you would buy it if it's profitable. Same applies to property. If the deal shows that it's profitable and it's forecast to be profitable, even through to weather a storm of high interest rates and prices dropping a little bit, then if you can visualize yourself on the other end of that coming out with a profit, then you should be okay.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's as mentioned at the start, it's something that comes down to you. But the most important thing around it all is doing your research, because it's up to you. It's not up to your parents. It's not up to your I don't know, it might be your partner at the time, if you're the one that wants to do it yourself. This is something that you need to decide on yourself. But with the amount of, again, I'm doing an article now about technology and stuff like that, and with the amount of technology that we have around us, it's so accessible.
Everybody can learn now.
Everybody can learn now. Everybody can be an avid investor and actually make quite good returns off it, and not even leave their seat at work, or the job site at work, you know what I mean? Whatever it may be, but we can all be serious property investors, get into the market now.
Everybody has a chance to be an expert.
Yeah, definitely. We weather the storm, whether it be now or in 2 years' time, but you're going to have to at one point. Like a cycle isn't a cycle where it just goes up and up and up. That's not a cycle, is it? That's just continual growth, and we know that with anything in life. I mean, even friendships at school and stuff like that. Some people are still friends with people at school. Some people, it's just all. It's changed, Their views on certain things have changed. Their outlook, everything like that. And I mean, again, that all goes back, to the core purpose of saying, like, comes down to you and what you want to do, and not what all the others are around.
Well, it's like any business. Any business is going to go through some sort of change and some through sort of cycle or storm. You're going to have your bad days and you're going to have your good days. But it's about going through those bad days and getting back up again and going, you know what? Today was a bad day. I'm going to make tomorrow better.
Yep.
And you make the most of what you have, and that's business, right? And property investing is business. You're going to have some bad days, you're going to have some good days, but I'll tell you what, when you have those good days, it far outweighs those bad days. Like you can be extremely wealthy from something as simple as investing in property, whereas other people have had to be wealthy from being heart surgeons or rocket scientists, and those things take a long time to master and be an expert at, where you can become an expert at property like quite quickly, but you've just got to take action and educate yourself and surround yourself with the right people. And you can do
all of this without a tertiary education in regards to university and stuff like that. Like you don't need to be an economist or anything like that, but you just need to know what you're investing in and how it's going to benefit you moving on. And we're not saying that people to make serious money, you need to invest in 10 properties over the duration of the
Start
next 10
small.
years. But start small.